Okay, you guys, so today I've got a whole bunch of amazing products for oily skin girls. You guys know I am your girl when it comes to oily skin. On a scale of 0 to 10, I'm probably like a 9 when it comes to how oily my skin is. So these are just a lot of products that have worked for me. I have tested. I love them. I want to bring you my recommendations, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so starting with before you even put on makeup, there are products, moisturizers designed for oily skin people. This is the one here that I've been using for about 5 to 6 months. There is a ton in here and you don't need very much, by the way. This is 2 fluid ounces and it's still like halfway full. This is the Paula's Choice Resist Youth Extending Daily Mattifying Fluid, and it does have SPF 50 in it. Sunscreen is so important, you guys. Please be using sunscreen every day. I really like this one for a couple of reasons. It does have like the mattifying properties, not too much, like it's not going to take care of all your problems, but it's nice to get a product that is designed for an oily skin person as opposed to, you know, all those hydrating moisturizers on the market. And also the SPF in it is so important, and this plays really well with makeup. So it's a good base to put your makeup on top of. It's not going to break it down. It's not going to ball it up. I've been using this, like I said, for 5 months or so, and I really like it. I use it daily. It's very liquidy. Like, I was very surprised when I first got it. When I first opened it, it comes out almost like the consistency of milk, but a little bit thicker as opposed to a lotion. So it's really cool in that sense, and it just sinks into your skin. Works really well as a base for what you're going to put on top of it. Now, in terms of primer, I think primer is probably an oily skin girl's best friend, at least a mattifying one. Primer is something that the drugstore is starting to do well, but there's not really as many options for us, I think, at the drugstore in terms of mattifying. And the ones that are there, I have tried. I haven't really found anything that works as well as these higher end ones that I'm going to show you. So if you guys know of any awesome drugstore primers for oily skin, let me know. But in the meantime, these are just the ones that I love, that I use all the time. The first one is kind of on the lower end of mattifying, so it's not really going to keep you super dry throughout the day, but it's pretty decent. This actually I really like because you can get it from Sephora as a travel size. Actually, all 3 of these you can. So it's a good way to try it because you don't necessarily want to spend $40 or $50 on a primer just to have it not work. So the travel size is always an awesome option. This is the Cover FX Mattifying Primer with Anti-Acne treatment. Now, I don't really suffer from acne too bad, but I do have hormonal breakouts every once in a while, and if you have oily skin that is also in combination with a lot of acne, then this might be really good for you. It's got kind of a lotiony silicone feel, if that makes sense. So it's not like a super silicone-y feel, but it's going to go into your pores. It's going to keep you matte, and it's going to help with any acne issues that you have. It does have 1% salicylic acid in it, so that's where that claim comes from. My next favorite is actually my favorite of the 3, but I'm putting these in this order because of how matte they're going to keep you. This is the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer Base Mattifying. This is the one that comes in the gray. Actually, I didn't realize you could buy this one in a travel size before I bought the full size, otherwise I probably would have done that. This is still very full and I use it all the time. This will keep you very matte throughout the day. The thing with this though is you have to only put it in the areas that you are actually oily. So I put this right across my forehead, kind of in this oval shape, down my nose, into here where I have larger pores, and on my chin. I would never put this like down the side of my face here or here or here, because I'm not oily there. I am very oily right down here. And I did, when I first got this, put it all over my face, and when I did, it would ball up my makeup in those areas where I was not oily. So that's why it's really important to do that with this type of product, and probably all 3 of these. I think the Cover FX I'm okay with putting all over my face, but this one and the next one definitely only down the T-zone or wherever you're oily. So the next one is the Becca Ever Matte Poreless Priming Perfector. Again, super mattifying. This one actually you have to work pretty quickly with too, because you can feel it get really tacky and kind of hard when you're putting it on. It does that very quickly. This one will keep you even more mattifying than the Makeup Forever one will. So just be careful with how much you use. I like to experiment with using 2 different primers at the same time. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll use a mattifying one down here. I'll use just a pore filling one over here. So you can always experiment with what works best for you. But these 3 are really good options for keeping that oil controlled. Okay, so next let's get into foundation, because I think that's where there's so many more options available and there's a lot of good ones on the market. So my absolute favorite foundation that whenever I just want no fuss, I don't want to be bothered with how it's going to feel on my face or like how it's going to look. It just looks perfect every time, is this Lancome Tint Miracle. Now I've heard that the Tint Idol one, it's Tint Idol 24 hours. It's really good for oily skin too, but I haven't tried it. This one, the Tint Miracle, I love this, you guys. I use it all the time. This is my absolute favorite foundation. I am in the shade Ivoire 4N. It just gives a beautiful finish, and what I like about this is it does still have luminosity. So, you know, I think with us oily skin girls, we're always given these matte foundations, and so we miss out on the dewiness, because, you know, we usually have our own dewiness, and I think that's why. But we don't always want to look like completely flat and matte, right? Sometimes you want to still have a little bit of sheen, a little bit of highlight, all this in your foundation. So this one is really good for that. It just looks like natural skin. It is medium coverage. It sits well all throughout the day. It doesn't break down from oil. I've used this now for months. I really, really love it. Really recommend it. This next one I have never talked about, I don't think, on my channel. However, I have used this for years. This is my absolute favorite in the BB CC cream arena. And the reason I haven't really brought it up is because it's not a brand you can get everywhere. Now, this is Gosh Cosmetics. You can get this in Canada, where I am, at Shoppers Drug Mart. They carry them. I'm pretty sure you can get Gosh in Europe. I'm not positive, and I have heard, although I wouldn't know for sure, that you can get this at Ulta in the States. So if you're really interested in this, you might have to track it down, but this is a really good CC cream. It's super liquidy. Let me tell you what it's called. First of all, it's the Gosh CC Cream Illuminating Foundation, oil-free. I am in 02 Ivory. This is not that cheap. It is drugstore, but it's a very high-end drugstore. So I think this was somewhere in the range of about $30 Canadian. Whereas like with the Lancome, that's about 50 some dollars Canadian. Anyway, whenever I want a no fuss day, I put this on and I set it with a colored powder. So not a translucent powder. I love setting this with a powder that has a little bit of coverage. So this is a light product. Obviously, being a CC cream, it's not full coverage or anything. It's pretty sheer, but it will even out your skin tone. And then I like to set it, because I set, you know, we have to, or at least skin people have to set our foundation. I like to set it with something that has a little bit more coverage as well. Apparently I chose the wrong day to film this, because I have now been interrupted about 6 times. And CC cream, and it does have illuminating in the name, which it is, but yet it just lasts all throughout the day. It doesn't break down on me. It doesn't really control oil in any sense, but it just lasts throughout the day without breaking down because of my oil. Like, I would still use a primer with this, or if I don't, I will have a lot of oil breakthrough, but it won't break down the foundation, if that makes sense. So in that sense, this works really, really well. I just love the finish of it. It just looks so natural on the skin. You don't look cakey at all. It's the next thing I am in love with. I'm wearing it today, you guys. Actually, I don't know if I said this, but I am wearing the Makeup Forever primer today as well. I love this stuff. This is brand new to me. I just did like my all-day wear test that I do with a lot of foundations, where I will put it on in the morning, wear it through the day, come back, give you a close-up so you can see how it wears. This stuff blew my mind. This is the NARS Velvet Matte Skin Tint. This is expensive, it is NARS. This is kind of like a BB cream in its texture and the way it goes on, but in terms of coverage and how well it lasts, it's more like a foundation. This is kind of like a hybrid product, and they call it a skin tint, which is kind of weird. Like, they don't call it a BB cream, they don't call it a foundation. They've made up their own category for it. And it definitely does tint your skin. Like it evens everything out beautifully. The finish is gorgeous. It feels so nice, like going on. It's like a gel lotiony cool texture. It just covers everything for me anyway. Like I would say it's a solid medium coverage. The thing about this that absolutely blew my mind is that, okay, it doesn't stop the oil from happening. It's not like with the primer where it's going to keep the oil in place. And by the way, when I tested this, I used no primer at all. I am wearing a primer today because I wanted to see how it would work, but when I first tested this, no primer, it lasted all throughout the day and I looked matte without being matte, which is like, it almost doesn't make sense. But all the oil was still there, and I even blotted on camera and you could see how oily it was, but you couldn't see any of the oil come through. It was the absolute weirdest thing, and that's why I say it blew my mind, because I've never seen a product ever do that. So while I was still oily, I looked matte. Like, what? What? It makes no sense, but it's gorgeous. You really, really should try it. I, of course, will link that demo that I did below. Let's get into powders now, and I have 3 here. Both of them drugstore, and then one is a Korean product, I believe, but very, very, very affordable. So all 3 of these are super affordable products. First of all, we have the Rimmel Stay Matte Long-Lasting Pressed Powder. This one is in the shade 005 Silky Beige. This is a favorite of a lot of people. It's just a really good drugstore primer. It does not make you look cakey. It lasts pretty well, and you know, it's drugstore, it's cheap. It just really sets your foundation nicely and works throughout the day. What more is there to say about it? This next one I was super surprised about when I used it. I really, really love it. It's now become like a daily product for me. This is the E.L.F. Perfect Finish HD powder. This is a translucent powder. It actually has a mirror in it, and it comes with a sponge, but I don't really use the sponge. You can see it's a translucent pressed powder. Here's what I love about this. Not only can you set your foundation and it will keep you pretty matte throughout the day, but if you get oily like I do, I would say about 2/3 throughout the day, and you kind of, that's the point at which you start seeing a lot of oil coming through. You maybe want to blot it, you maybe want to add more powder. This you can add without blotting. You can just put it right back on top, you know, quench that oil, and it does not look cakey. It's super awesome for that. You could just keep reapplying it throughout the day and it will not add like cake face to your face. It's amazing. The other thing about this is when I first applied it, I was, you know, looking pretty closely in the mirror. I was using a brush, and honestly, it really looked like my pores were vanishing in front of my eyes. I'm not kidding. It was like pore filling. It just blurred them right in front of me. This thing is like $3, I think. So super affordable. Awesome product. So this next product I've talked about before. It is a favorite of mine. This is the Innisfree No-Sebum Mineral Powder. I hate the word sebum. It's so gross. I know a lot of people hate like words like moist and stuff like that. Well, for me, sebum is one of those words. It sounds like a bodily function or something. It's so gross. Well, I guess it is a bodily function through your face. Okay, we're grossly getting off track. But anyway, this is like a translucent loose powder. This really controls your oil. So, you know, if you want to use a regular foundation or something and you're worried about your oil coming throughout the day, this is the type of thing that is really going to control it. I will put this on only in my T-zone, and I will not have to blot all day long. The only thing about this is that it can get cakey, not always, and not even too bad. So what I'll do is, you know, if I start feeling a little dry 2/3 throughout the day or something like that, then I'll go in maybe with like a MAC Fix Plus to rehydrate my face, to kind of remeld all the makeup together, or just some kind of other facial spray that'll do that for me. And it kind of just, it feels a lot better. So it's not the kind of thing I like to use on a daily basis, but if I know I really want to be matte and not have any oil come through, I use this. You guys, this is not that hard to find. It is a Korean product. I bought mine off of Amazon. It was $8.50. super affordable. The next thing is something I just really like for setting my foundations. This is the Sephora house brand Fond de Teint Compact Mattifying. Oh, that's the French. Yeah, in Canada, everything has to be in French and English if you didn't know. 8-hour wear mattifying compact foundation. Okay, that makes more sense. So, excuse how dirty this sponge is. The reason I do use this sometimes when I'm out and about, so I do use the sponge every once in a while that comes with it. There's a mirror. Okay, this is a pressed powder foundation. It is a foundation. It does have a lot of coverage to it. It is mattifying. It's right in the name. By the way, this is shade 26 Peach. I'll be honest with you, I don't really think this is the correct shade for me, although I do use it. I was shade matched by the makeup artist at Sephora, and I don't really think he did the best job. But anyway, besides the point, I do use it. It's pretty good for me in the summertime. I really like this for setting this or other BB-CC creams if I want a little bit more coverage and yet I'm still matte. I probably could use this just by itself on like summertime days maybe when I don't want so much makeup on my face. Sephora house brand, they do have a lot of good things. Okay, next thing is one of my favorite types of products, setting sprays. I think setting sprays are essential. Whether you are dry or oily, there's different types for you. These two are super similar. I have a feeling they might even be the exact same product because I've heard that they're made by the same company. I don't know. I don't know that for sure, but what I do know is this works exactly as well as this one. So this is the Urban Decay All-Nighter Makeup Setting Spray. This is like super glue for your makeup from morning till night. It really does its job. It is just like a, you know, oh, how come I can't get the top off? Oh, there we go. Okay, it has a really fine mist that comes out, whereas this one, the mist is not as fine. That's the only drawback to this, although it's not really that much of a drawback, let's be honest. This is the travel size I have here, which was $15 Canadian. The full size is like $37. By the way, I noticed a lot of things went up in price on Sephora's website, including pretty much every Urban Decay product by like $1 or $2. So you guys noticed that? I noticed that. Anyway, so that's about $36, $37 for the full size, and this one I think is about $16 to $18 depending where you get it Canadian for the full size. 3.4 fluid ounces. So this does the exact same job. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Spray and Set Makeup Extender Setting Spray. So basically, if you guys don't know what a setting spray does, spray it on your face after you're done your makeup and it will just keep your makeup from moving around throughout the day. It'll keep it looking good, won't move, won't break down, etc, etc. So these to me are a necessity when it comes to makeup. Okay guys, so those are my favorite holy grail oily skin products that I use all the time. I hope this was really helpful. If you guys have any that you think I should try or that are your holy grails that really work for your oil control, please let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And that's it for today. So thank you for spending time with me and I'll see you next time.